Alright, you guys, how's it going? This one's going to be kind of a different video than what I'm normally used to doing. I need to get out of that habit. I know I keep getting comments about saying, I'm sorry, my speech teacher would hit me with a baseball bat. It's just me thinking. If anybody doesn't like it, I'm sorry. But this one I figured would be more of my basic training story for the Air Force. Basically, anybody. I'm not trying to be the next Kyle God or the next Wild Blue Yonder or anything. I just want to share my experiences, what both me and my wife went through. Because believe it or not, she was having more havoc back on the home side than I was back away training. And in some of the letters that she wrote to me in basic, it was pretty apparent that it was. I wouldn't say taking a toll on her, but she was definitely feeling the me being away, how she's dealing with the pressure of me being away, how I'm dealing with the pressure, and trying to take all these different personalities and everything else like that with the people that I was with in basic, and condensing all that, and there you go. That's basic training. So, at least for my wife and I. At the time, she was my girlfriend, but we were pretty serious, and before I left, we had already talked about getting married after I get out of basic. But yeah, I just got back home from work. Nice long 8.5 hour shifts, and just got out of the shower. And the wife's not home right now, so I figured, what the hell? And I'm pretty sure she might chirp in here on one of these videos. But I just want to kind of open this up to you guys about if you guys have any specific questions about what basic training was like, versus because when I went in, I just want to make sure I'm recording really quick first. Okay, good, I am. All right, I'm not just talking to a camera. I don't want to just give you my perspective of what happened. I want to because there's something like very simple things that people think of that aren't really covered, like one of which in tech school is like, okay, if since I work out on the flight line, where do you go to the bathroom? Simple stuff like that. But yeah, so I mean, I'd be happy to share my experiences in both basic training and tech school. And I think one thing that I don't really see a whole lot of, and that I am willing to admit, but is what MedHold is like. So I spent, I did a not 3 month, no, I did a 3 week stint in MedHold, and I will tell you right off the bat, I will go into more depth if you guys want, but it was, being in MedHold was way, way more challenging than being in just basic training. When I got back to my new flight after I got out of MedHold, it was a cakewalk again. So basic training is, I went into it going with all the stories my dad told me back when he joined in the 80s. And back then, basic training was a lot harder. They were able to get in your face, sort of stuff like that. But nowadays, it's so regulated, and the MTIs back down there at Lackland, they've got a very, very short leash, if that makes sense, in terms of how they interact with you, what they can and can't do. The list is probably longer of things that they can't do than they can do, and they, at least my two first MTIs, they handled it very professionally. I loved my MTIs. They were stellar airmen, um, pinnacle of their career, and that's why they got chosen for it. So, or applied for it and got accepted. So, uh, like I said, this is basically just an introduction video, and as the comments come in, I just want to basically answer anybody's questions about what basic training was like, if for anybody that is interested. And I mean, even if you're kind of on the fence, I will say that signing that dotted line, and when you're at MEPS and you're going through the gauntlet of medical and all these other things like at MEPS, because I knew for a fact that I wanted to go in the military after being around it my entire life. And it almost seems like you're going against the firing squad when you're signing all of your paperwork at MEPS, because you're like, what am I getting myself into? But then when you finally get into the military after training, it it's like, oh wow, okay, this is just like a regular 9 to 5 job, but with a lot more regulations and rules. And but joining the Air Force is the best decision I've ever made in terms of bettering myself, the things that I am provided, and like this house. I mean, is it mine? No, but I could never imagine before I joined the military living in a house this nice and being able to live fairly comfortably off of just one paycheck. And granted, my wife is trying to find a job, actively pursuing it like crazy, trying to find a job because she's just getting cooped up in the house and she hates not contributing. So, but even at just, I wouldn't say, okay, yeah, okay, meager A1C pay, her and I are able to live decently comfortable. As long as you can stretch a dollar sort of thing. $140 for the groceries lasts us like 3 weeks. So it really depends on the person. But anyway, I'm kind of getting off track. But it's at some points, especially in the training side of things, you're like, why am I doing this? But then you look back at it of what you were taught, and you're like, okay, I can kind of see, like Airman's Week. It used to be called Capstone Week, and it's an additional week of training that you have to go to after graduating BMT, and it's basically how do I put it, like a limbo state essentially in between basic training and tech school. And it's to try to prepare you mentally for some circumstances that you might encounter both in tech school and active duty. And there were some instances where I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, that sitting around in a circle talking to each other, holding each other's hands sort of thing, we didn't actually do that, but that's what it felt like, especially going from the kind of semi-aggressive nature of BMT to, oh, okay, let's just sit here and talk. You're like, this is a weird transition, but it's meant to bring your level down of being so tightly wound. And it's there's a pretty decent difference between training status and active duty, or at least operational side for anybody that's going guard or reserve. But it's, I love going to work in the morning. I really do. I mean, I hate getting out of bed. That's the first hurdle, because I just bought a new bed and I can't get out of it. But once I go to work and I get my tools checked out and I'm waiting to go on the flight line, and then when I get on the flight line, I'm as happy as I can be. It doesn't matter if I am having just a suck day. Just embrace the suck and try to get that plane in the air. And I love my job. I'll be the first to admit I'm not the only one I'm not the only one that loves their job, but it's definitely fun when your work doesn't really feel like work. And coming from a mechanical background of all the schooling that I had prior to the military and just my love for fixing things, it suited me pretty well. So I don't know if they're still doing it, but I remember when I joined back in mid 16. Back when, I'm making it sound like I've been in forever, but when I joined at the time, they were offering a $2,000 re-enlistment, or an enlistment bonus, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it hit my enlistment bonus. Half of it at least hit a couple weeks ago, and I bought my side. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I went through basic training. I went through tech school. I'm gonna reward myself a little bit. So I bought a nice little 60-inch TV and all that stuff. But yeah, so if any of you guys want, I will go into more depth about what MedHold is like, why I went to MedHold, the things to help you get through MedHold if you ever, for God forsaken, end up in that place, and just sort of tips and tricks about getting through basic, because there were some people in my flight that took it kind of hard being away from home for the first time, but then on the other hand, there's some people that they really didn't have a home to go back to, so this was their one shot. but it hits everybody different. It really depends upon your personality, what you're used to and what you're not used to, getting you out of your comfort zone. And just being used to the aggressive nature that the MTIs take against you. And whatever you do, do not take it personally. That's the first rule that I can offer, is do not take whatever they're doing to you personally. They're doing their job. So I think I'm going to cut it out here, and then I might just voluntarily, like without really requests, just because I'm sure someone on YouTube is going to benefit from it or just be curious about it. But I'll make some videos about my med hold experience, my basic experience, my tech school experience, and then any other specific questions or just general questions that you guys have, I will try to make a video response of it. I'm incredibly busy right now with both work and getting my my CDCs done, and trying to squeeze in a little bit of me time here and there, and then off to bed and then back to work. So today's Wednesday, my Monday, because I have Mondays and Tuesdays off. So I've got 4 more days of the week ahead of me, and then we'll see what kind of videos trickle out from there. And yeah, so any questions you guys have about basic, military, Air Force related, because I really don't know anything about the other branches, so sorry I can't help you there. But Air Force questions, for the most part, I will try to answer. And for anybody that's interested in joining, if you're curious about joining, please look into it. It's, like I said, it's the best decision I've ever made, and I by no means regret signing that dotted line for my 6-year enlistment. So, yeah. So I will leave that to you guys about any comments that you guys want to leave for videos, and I'm going to cut it here. Alright, see you guys.